Hi, I'm Angela Simonson with George Washington Speaks. We had the opportunity to visit the Northwest Colonial Reenactors Association event, and here is an interview that I had with Wylin Tjoelker. How did you get started? How long ago was that?
Well, I got started in 2011, and I kind of stumbled into it because I'm very passionate about history and theology, and very passionate about the concept of human freedom in history. How did that develop? Because it's an aberration in human history. Most of human history, you've got a band of bandits riding around terrorizing little villages of people, and then eventually they set themselves up in the villages as kings and later as emperors as they conquer more territory. And everybody's under their boot, and that is world history. It's the history of subjugation and tyranny. So, human freedom, like we enjoy here in the United States, where did that come from? That's a very important question. So we've already talked about where tyranny came from, but where did freedom come from? What are its roots? Because that's important to understand. So I'm passionate about that, as you can tell. And that leads you very much to the American Revolution. Why those people risked everything, and they risked everything when they signed that Declaration of Independence. It was like they're signing their own death warrant. Because they were taking on the largest and most powerful military in the world at that time, the British Empire. The British Empire just won a world war, the 7 Years' War, to us known as the French and Indian War, but it was also fought around the world in various places. And the British won it very decisively. They had the greatest navy the world had ever seen. And the colonies were very much dependent upon sea coast transport because they didn't have an effective road system. And, sorry, bees. Anyway, they didn't have an effective road system. So their success in a revolution against the British Empire, there was no chance of it unless God came to their aid. And they believed he would, because they believed their cause was just. And I could speak at great length about this, but sum it up, the forgotten battle cry of the American Revolution, which you're never taught in school, was not, the major cry was not no taxation without representation. The main battle cry was no king but Jesus. That's what they don't teach you. That's why they had the courage to fight that war and to die in that war and to freeze and to starve to death in that war. Because most of those who died didn't die in the battlefield, they died of exposure and starvation. Again, I could speak for hours. But so that's why I was passionate about the history of human freedom, where it comes from. And because of that, I eventually discovered the very few small local reenactment organizations. And this being one of them, the NCRA, Northwest Colonial Reenactors Association. The other one was the second, Connecticut. In the reenacting world, often we portray what we do in real life because it's just natural.
Okay.
So I am a dance instructor. So I portray an 18th century colonial dance master.
Okay.
And I also, as part of my dance instruction, because the dance organization I run is a Christian Youth Social Dance Fellowship.
Okay.
It's a Christian organization, Christian ministry. So I'm also a Colonial Parson and Chaplain. I do the Sunday morning services, which are not reenactments, they're genuine, real church services.
That's great.
Yeah.
What made you choose that particular portrayal?
It was what I was passionate about and what I do naturally, what I have a passion to do.
Okay.
So in reenacting, I have an opportunity to preach sermons and talk about theological and religious things with people, which is what I'm passionate to do. And also, I have the opportunity to teach and lead dance, which I'm also very passionate about.
Okay.
So we follow what we're really interested in, or what our passions are. And we all have many passions. I'm passionate about camping outdoors and camping in large canvas tents, which is really nice, and flintlock rifles and muskets and target shooting and that whole thing. Passionate about that. Passionate about making furniture and camp equipment. And the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah. So you're living out something that's actually pretty genuine from your
Oh,
true
yeah.
self.
Yeah. I think reenactors really aren't actors. They're just people who love that era in history, and they use the word immersion. They like to go back there and live just like that. And it is true sometimes when we're dressed colonial, we feel at home. We feel more at home when we're dressed like this. So the word reenactors is kind of misleading. They're just people who do history and who like living in an era of history. And like I was saying, when we're dressed colonial, we often feel more at home than we do dressed modern. That may sound strange, but
No, it makes sense to me, actually, especially if it kind of resonates with a part of you,
yeah.
you know, as a
A
person.
lot of us feel like we were born in the wrong era. Like we really should have been back then. Yeah. When I first came to my first reenactment here, I researched them online a little bit and then signed up to come to a colonial encampment. That's what this is. I didn't have all the equipment necessary. I was dressed more Ren fair than colonial. But what impressed me was how kind the people were to me. They were not picky about how I looked or how I dressed or what my equipment was. They were very friendly, very helpful. And a lot of them gave me equipment. And I have a lot of the equipment they gave me. See, in reenactment, you get your equipment, either you purchase it from a company that makes that sort of thing, like Jas Townsend or G. Gedney Goodwin or Crazy Crow or something like that online. Or you make it yourself, or you hire someone to make it, like clothes, or you buy it from another reenactor who maybe is getting out of reenacting, or they have too much stuff and they want to sell some of their stuff, or reenactors will give you stuff. And the most precious stuff you attain are the things that are given to you and the things that you make yourself.
Sure.
Those are the things that are most valuable to you. So you get a lot of stuff with a lot of sentimental value to you. And so I was really impressed with how kind the people were. And so I came for the history, but I stayed for the family. Because the reenactment community, especially in the Revy War era, the Revolutionary War era, it's very family oriented. It's more family focused and history focused. And those are big draws for me. They really were.
Why is that important to you?
Well, like most all the reenactors here will tell you, these are the family that they choose. And they look forward to getting together with their friends because everybody loves each other here. And it's like an extended family. It's like these gentlemen are my brothers, and their wives are my sisters, and their children are like nieces and nephews. So it's a pretty close-knit group. Yeah.
Can you walk me through what a typical weekend looks like?
Oh, well, I'd say for the NCRA, and I think this kind of spreads into colonial reenacting generally, Revy War reenacting, the biggest thing is we're very relaxed. We sleep in the morning, we get up when we want to, and it's an unhurried schedule. We'll have seminars throughout the day. You can go to them or not go to them if you're interested in them. Most of us go to all the seminars just because we like to support our fellow reenactors, and what they're teaching us is pretty interesting. Like right now, they're teaching about how to make buttons.
Okay.
Buttons with thread across them. They're called deadhead buttons or something. Anyway, you make them by sewing thread across them. So you go to some seminars. You go out in the canoes on the mysterious Black River here that goes around our camping area here. And we do target shooting with muzzleloader, smoothbore, or rifle. We did rifle shoot yesterday. Today we'll do smoothbore shoot. And those are shooting contests, shooting at targets. And we will have games like bowls. It's kind of like bocce ball. And we did some dancing this morning. As dance master, I taught some of the young people and younger couples waltz. And later this evening we'll be doing some English country dancing and Irish reels and traditional high energy group dancing. It's a lot of fun.
Fun. It sounds like it's a time to learn what you know and share what you're passionate about.
Yes, another thing, we've spent a lot of time just going to each other's camps and sitting down and just talking. So we'll go and we talk, we'll get together at a family's camp and we'll all talk there, and we'll go to another. So everybody goes to each other's camps and just visits.
What kind of things do you talk about?
All kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. Typical life. We talk about religion and politics, not in an adversarial way. It just never develops that way. Mm-hmm. It's not like we're all the same. It's just that we don't pick on each other because we love each other. So it works really well.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty special. How do you think that is developed? And I mean, that kind of things can be hard to find in today's society.
Simple, one word: love. We love each other. You love somebody, you care about someone. The differences from you fade into the background to some degree, even though those differences might be about important things. You care about them. So, it works.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Yeah. What would you say would be one or two of your goals as you kind of live this out?
Well, we just really enjoy this. And we look forward to these events because it is a major time to recharge. Because the stresses of home or our life or whatever are left behind. And we can really decompress and just relax and have a great time with friends. It's pretty easy going.
Nice.
Which I think is typical of Revuewar reenacting. Other reenacting eras are different. Each one has a different culture. Civil War might be much more regimented because they're focused much more on battle reenactments, and they're much more of a public event usually. So it's very different. Mm-hmm. World War II reenacting is very much focused on equipment. Like if you've got a Jeep or a half-track, that is really cool. So different eras are different focuses to some degree. We like Revuewar because it is the way it is. It's very family, it's very friendship-oriented, and history too. Have
you had any challenging situations or embarrassing situations in your journey?
The most challenging situation in reenacting is weather, because it's all canvas. Like, this is a lot of canvas. It's probably close to 100 pounds of canvas. And when it gets wet, it's a lot heavier than 100 pounds of canvas. And it's very important that it not be allowed to stay wet. So if it's wet and you got to pack it up wet, you got to get it home, you got to get it spread out, you got the dehumidifier going, you got to dry it. And I mean fast, because if you don't, it will turn gray and it will turn very ugly. So you'll have urban camouflaged canvas.
Do you have a favorite memory? Something that kind of sticks out to you?
Favorite memory. One of the most favorite memories I have occurred here. And it was, we have our potluck dinner and everybody brings wonderful food, and then we have a raffle for prizes. So we either prizes are donated or we buy them, and they're Colonial equipment and stuff like that. And some people make the prizes. And one of our fathers had spent a lot of time carving a canoe paddle out of cedar. He put a lot of work into it, and he donated it as a prize. But it was hard for him to do because he was really attached to it, because he'd done that. And we have raffle tickets, and his daughter drew a winning ticket. She'd get to go up and pick a prize. And she picked his canoe paddle for him, and she brought it to him. And I had the camera ready, so I got the shot of his reaction to that. And it still brings tears to my eyes. Yeah. Beautiful.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody wanted to learn more about you or what you do or what you're about or how to get involved, how could they contact you?
We have a website. And the web address is ncra-colonial.com.
Okay.
ncra.colonial.com.
Okay.
ncra-colonial.com.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you have your own social media at all?
We have a Facebook page also.
Okay.
Northwest Colonial Reenactors Association
Okay.
Facebook page.
Well, thank you for joining me today. I really enjoyed our time.
Yes, I enjoyed that too. Thank you so much for doing this.